What's up, guys? It's Jordan, the movie hero Anderson here, your friendly neighborhood movie hero. For those of you who know me, I am a massive Spider-Man fan, so uh, I decided to just review. I'm really glad that Jackson reached out to me and had me partake in this. It's gonna be fun. So, Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm excited to dive into my favorite Spider-Man movie. I thought about it. It kind of goes back and forth between No Way Home and Spider-Man 2, but I think Spider-Man No Way Home is the best because you get the best of like three different worlds basically, or even more if you include some of the end credits things. But you get the Tobey Maguire, you get Andrew Garfield, you get Tom Holland, you get all of it. So yeah, I'm excited. And for people who know me personally, my favorite properties growing up were always Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, X-Men, actually the uh, four I would say Deadpool, and then of course Spider-Man. And if you look around my room right here where I'm filming, you can see a whole bunch of different Spider-Mans everywhere. Like you got Spider-Man right there, right above the bed. You got more Spider-Man stuff over there. You got even over there, if you can see right. And then I pulled a couple things off the wall. Let me set that back up. There you go. I got my little pop figures. There you go. There's one there. The Tom Holland one with the cell phone. If you can see it doing the selfie right there. I got Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man right there. That people tell me it looks like a California raisin. That pop figure. I don't have a Tobey Maguire one. I need a Tobey Maguire one, but I do have a pretty sick looking Venom one. So that's cool. And yeah, I got even more stuff. The obsession goes deep. Let me tell you. So I got this poster, which is like a pretty popular comic book from the Amazing Spider-Man, a comic cover. I have this day in the life of Peter Parker, where it shows him doing his thing and then battling Venom and Carnage and teaming up there at the end with Miles Morales and Gwen's Spider Gwen. And then this one I want to try to get framed somehow. I think it's pretty sick poster of Miles Morales right there. So yeah, eventually I'll get to it. But right now I don't have a spot for it yet. But anyway, let's get into this review. So yeah, Spider-Man Home. This movie, it's 2 hours and 28 minutes long. So kind of long for most standards for me, for most movies, but like you don't really feel it. Like this movie just breezes by. Like it doesn't really feel too long. Directed by John Watts, which he hasn't really done too much outside of Spider-Man. He did Cop Car with Kevin Bacon. That's really the only other thing I've ever seen from him. And he did these Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, which I think Tom Holland is a great choice for these Spider-Man movies. He can act super well. Like man, this guy is can show the emotion. Like he brings it, and it's awesome. And unfortunately, he's made some kind of poor choices outside of Spider-Man, but he's killed it in like Marvel movies and Avengers, like especially Infinity War when he's one of the guys that disintegrates from the snap from Thanos. So kind of what I wanted to do with this review is break it down into pros and cons. And the funny thing is, I have a huge list of pros, not like little to no cons, like honestly. So let's just get the cons out of the way so we can just like be done with all the negativity and we'll get into the positive stuff. So my only cons are like not even really about the movie specifically, really. It's just really about like this Spider-Man overall because definitely I like No Way Home the best if I were to rank them. Then it goes Spider-Man Homecoming and then Far From Home, but I like them all. Like they're all great. But my only cons are I'm not a big fan of Zendaya playing Michelle Jones Watson, which Mary J. Watson, they like they allude to it in this movie. It's like just bring back Mary Jane and just have Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy, even Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat, like have her in this thing. But I don't know, like Zendaya is weird and like neurotic and kind of like brooding and dark. Like I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. And then Flash Thompson, he's just like a normal, goofy kind of kid that played by Tony Revolori, which in the comics, like he's a big buff guy, kind of the sports star, the athlete. Like he's, I don't know, like he needs to be that. I feel like I don't know if I love the version that they went with here. And then this, my third and final con isn't even really much of a con, just something I've always wondered if Peter Parker has an Uncle Ben in this series. They've never really talked about Uncle Ben or like alluded to it, but like Uncle Ben plays a huge part in Spider-Man's story. So especially yeah, just like overall, and you don't know if there was an Uncle Ben. If Uncle Ben died somewhere, you don't see a grave, but you do see. And this is before I get too far into this, is spoiler filled, so tune out if you don't want to be spoiled. But this movie's been out for a while, but it does show Aunt May's grave after she dies, but it doesn't show a grave for Uncle Ben. So I don't know if there is. But anyways, those aren't even really cons about this movie. They're just cons about like the overall series. There's really almost no cons. I mean, another little nitpicky con could be some of the CGI looks a little kind of wonky when like the villains are coming in and that kind of thing. But it's not that noticeable to me at least. But yeah, let's get into my pros, and I have a long list of them. So my pros would probably be definitely. I mean, we already talked about Tom Holland, so let's talk about Jacob Batalon as Ned. Like he's freaking awesome. I think he's hilarious. I think he's funny, and honestly, the way that this movie ends, I wouldn't mind seeing him as like sort of a villain in the next one. Like that would be really cool. But and then also too, people always talk about the MCU tie-ins. I like the MCU tie-ins because if you're gonna make him part of the MCU, which I think he should be, then you got to have that connection. That means like a character, or like I don't know, he visits someplace outside of the normal realm where he would be normally doing things, and so you have Batch as Doctor Strange. He goes to Doctor Strange for help, and because it's revealed at the end of Far From Home that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and it's by none other than J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson. Yes, like that is inspired casting from the minute he played that actor, and they bring him back kind of like an alternate version, but he's basically doing the same thing. He's got a little different hairstyle and stuff, but yeah, and so he thinks his life is being ruined with everybody knowing, and it's making it tough, and they can't get into college, and he's being accused of the murder of Mysterio, and so he goes to Doctor Strange and has him cast the spell or whatever he does to make everyone forget, but then he screws it up because he keeps trying to add all these different things right in the middle of when he's casting his spell, so it doesn't work. And then also seeing a Benedict Wong, like I freaking love Wong in the MCU. Like he's the glue. He's the glue that holds the MCU together, and like he basically appears in every single MCU property in some way or another, and I love it. Like I think like Benedict Wong's got so much charisma. He's fun. He's awesome. So, and the fact that they reveal that he's the Sorcerer Supreme in this is a cool thing that they do. But yeah, and then I was just gonna talk about just kind of back and forth with some of my favorite scenes, some of my favorite characters, that kind of thing. So that's just to start. But a couple of my scenes that I love from this movie. I love when Peter Parker as Spider-Man has to go toe to toe with Doctor Strange, and they get into to like portal realm or wherever he goes through a portal, and they're in some kind of like weird like alternate universe, and where everything's changing the way Doctor Strange does, and he like manipulates matter or like whatever it is, he's changing things, and kind of like Inception style. And yeah, he has a pretty cool battle, and that's where he steals Doctor Strange ring thingy that he calls it or whatever that allows him to make portals, and Ned gets a hold of that, and that's how he's able to bring back some of the other Spider-Men. He's trying to locate his Peter Parker, but then he says find Peter Parker, and then he opens a portal, and all of a sudden it's Andrew Garfield that walks through, and then later on Tobey Maguire, and like who doesn't cheer when those freaking Spider-Mans of old show up again, and they're all together, they're in one movie, you get to see them back, you hear little quick little clips of the music from each of the movies, which is really, really cool, especially the music from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is like some of my personal favorites. And thing is, like, you bring back the three, we bring like two of the Spider-Man to make three together, and then you have five villains in this thing, and technically you can maybe say that they're putting together the Sinister Six, but it's just the five villains. So you have Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, you have Alfred Molina as Dr. Octavius, you have Rhys Ifans as the Lizard, Kurt Connors, then you have Thomas Hayden Church playing the Sandman, you have Jamie Foxx being Electro. So yeah, you have all of those guys together, and then if you wanted to end it out, if they're ever going to do a Sinister Six, it's either going to be Michael Keaton as the Vulture, or it'll be Kraven the Hunter, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. So I kind of hope that it'll be the Vulture that joins him, and Kraven can be doing his own thing because he works solo. Like, I love Kraven the Hunter. My two favorite villains in a Spider-Man movie are Mysterio, which we got. Jake Gyllenhaal killed it, I thought, and then Kraven the Hunter. So we're getting Aaron Taylor Johnson playing Kraven the Hunter, which how I think they need to go about Kraven the Hunter real quick is that they need to just have one. So you're gonna get a solo movie. So you're setting up the character. Maybe have Spider-Man in it, maybe not, and you get a good storyline of his, and then you get the next Spider-Man 4. Should be Kraven's Last Hunt, because that is the most incredible Spider-Man story. It's so good. So yeah, and like some of my favorite Kraven the Hunter stories, since I'm a big Kraven fan. I mean, you have the Road to Hunted, which is like him kind of just like the introduction of Kraven. Then he kind of meets Spider-Man, and he's after him, and he's realizing that he gets every kill that he ever wants. He always catches the person he's after, and so now he's after Spider-Man. So you have the Road to Hunted, or even one. I don't know if they'd ever bring in Squirrel Girl, but there's a comic that I like where he teamed up with Squirrel Girl, and she brings in some good humor into that. And you got to get into Kraven's Last Hunt. So yeah, but because I think that's what everyone wants to see, and that deals with some heavy subject material. Oh, and there's also this version which I didn't show here, but I've got the Ultimate Spider-Man here. So there's some cool stuff with the Ultimate Spider-Man and Kraven that you can kind of see where Kraven is definitely after Spidey, because I got a good there you go. He's right there. He's right here. He's all over this thing. So yeah. But and let's talk about the villains that do appear. So I think that both Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe could have been nominated for an Oscar for this movie, especially Willem Dafoe. Oh my gosh, like he didn't even need the Green Goblin mask. He just like contorted his face to look like the Green Goblin with the hood on and everything, the purple hood. And yeah, it was an incredible performances. Even Jamie Foxx, he was great when he comes down as the like using some of his electricity powers. He has that kind of old school uh, electro look to him with like the little yellow things sticking out and the electricity all over him. And like that works so much better. They didn't make him blue and like stupid looking like he looked like in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I mean I actually really like the Amazing Spider-Man, but Amazing Spider-Man 2 is not so good. But the first one's great. The second one had potential, but it didn't work for me. But and probably for a lot of people. But um, yeah, and it's funny when like Ned, he's like fumbling to like bring the other Spider-Man in, and then he's like when he brings in Tobey Maguire, he's like great, it's just some guy or whatever. And then when Andrew Garfield comes in, he just says he's Peter Parker, and him and Zendaya, they're like, yeah, right, like whatever. They don't like believe him. But and then also too when the three of them finally get together and they coordinate their attacks, like, and they're like really helping each other fight. And then Andrew Garfield's like, he's like, I love you guys, and like, and then they just like they work together and they're fighting, and like, man, that was another moment where I wanted to just stand up and cheer. It was freaking awesome, like it was great. Um, so yeah, like, and I don't know if we're ever gonna get that ever again. If those three versions of Spider-Man fighting alongside each other, like, I mean, I would hope we would see it again, but I mean, who knows? But and then some of the other villains they didn't do as much. The Lizard kind of got like sidelined almost, like they didn't do much with them. They did a little more with the Sandman, Thomas Hayden Church, but it was fun to see him back there. And one of my other favorite scenes is just the hangout scene when they're on top of the Statue of Liberty, and they're just hanging out. They're just talking about like other villains that they fought before. Like Tobey Maguire's like, I fought this black alien guy that like turned into some kind of goo, and then they're just bringing up I think Andrew Garfield. Oh, he brings up the the rhino. He's like, yeah, I fought this Russian guy in a rhino suit. So they did that, and then Tom Maguire gets his back cracked by Andrew Garfield, and then they're just talking about how they get their web fluid. So they're like, so does that web fluid just like come right out of you, or like what? Like they're talking to Tobey Maguire's like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that, and like they're kind of like poking fun at him a little bit. They're like, yeah, like we have to make ours. Like it's a real tedious like process. Like it's a pain. And so yeah, so that's fun. And then there's just little fun scenes with all of them together where like Ned, it's like, hey Peter, and then they all look at the same time, and that kind of thing when they're in the lab, kind of working alongside each other. It's fun. And then of course there's Aunt May. She dies in this thing, and I actually like that she dies because it actually shows that there's big stakes in the movie. You don't have an Uncle Ben that's gonna die, so you have an Aunt May, and yeah, like I'm glad it actually happens. And especially Tom Holland's reaction to it is like, man, like he knows how to play emotion super well, and like that scene, like I get emotional and teary eyed every single time. There's literally two scenes where I get emotional in this movie is Aunt May's death scene, and then afterwards he just goes nuts on the Green Goblin, just starts just like punching him in the face over and over and over. Willem Dafoe, and just like you can see the emotion, and just like, oh, like he is pissed and sad, and like just like feels all these things all at once. And then the other one is when Andrew Garfield's character saves MJ, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And you can really see the emotion there because we all know what happened to Gwen Stacy. They couldn't save her, and so she died, and so it's like was almost having kind of flashbacks and PTSD, but he was really happy he was able to save her. So yeah. And also when Aunt May dies, she finally says the line, like it was bound to happen, because I know in the Amazing Spider-Man they like skirt around saying it, but I mean Aunt May just finally comes out and says it. She says, "Look, Peter, you have great power, and with great power comes great responsibility." So they finally say it. They had to say it. So yeah, that was cool that they did it in a movie like this where you have Tobey Maguire there, so it kind of works and doesn't feel kind of like forced or copied from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. But and yeah, I do like the contrast of good and evil with all the villains. It just shows that they actually have some humanity. They do have some heart. You see, like, so like the first scene's really cool when Doc Ock first appears and like, "Hello, Peter," and he's like, what happened to the other Peter, and when I harnessed the power of the sun, and like all that stuff, and you see a really cool fight scene between those two. You see him controlling his arms. He gets the little whatever it is, device that controls it, and he's controlling it. And then, but then later on, they're able to detach him from his arms, and you see like that the Otto Octavius is actually a nice, like, good guy that just wants to, I don't know, like just be a normal dude, you know. It's like he doesn't want to really necessarily be a villain, but he does become that. And then same with Willem Dafoe, like you see some real humanity out of him until the Green Goblin takes over. You see that with the Sandman. You see it with the Lizard. You see it with Electro. You see it with like they all have those moments of like showing their humanity, showing that they have a good side, but then a very evil side where they're literally trying to kill people. They're trying to kill all the different Spider-Men. They're like everyone. Like, yeah, they have the like lust for power or whatever you want to call it. But and yeah, so as far as maybe what villains we might see next, because for me, I think that definitely Spider-Man in the MCU has the best rogues gallery of villains, like by far, of any character. Kind of like in DC, Batman has all the best villains, and you watch a Batman movie, a huge part of it you watch for the villains. Same with Spider-Man, and so like some of the ones that I'm curious if they're ever going to bring into the next movies, like maybe the Shocker, Chameleon, Hydro, the Scorpion, the Hobgoblin, which we got a glimpse of that with James Franco slightly in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. There's Morbius. There's bringing in the Kingpin and making him more central. There's the Black Cat. There's Tombstone. There's Mr. Negative. You can see more of Carnage. The Jackal. Or like maybe they do the Rhino, and if they bring back the Rhino, I'd say give Paul Giamatti another shot, but don't make him in some big like mechanical suit. Just make him like just the Rhino from the comics, where he's literally like basically a real Rhino kind of, and he did a little bit of a suit on, but he kind of has those powers to like slam through walls and all that. And like give Paul Giamatti another shot, but do it better, kind of like they upgraded the Jamie Foxx's character, Electro, him much better than what he was in Amazing Spider-Man 2. And yeah, so those are kind of some ones. Oh, and then I'll even throw in a couple other kind of like maybe ones they probably won't do, but maybe there's Alistair Smythe. He's a guy that kind of looked like a gargoyle in the animated series. Because I grew up with the animated series from the 90s. Spider-Man, and they have the like techno stuff in the background. And then also there's the doppelganger, which is like the 6-armed Spider-Man. That might maybe happen, because if you look, there's a scene where they're all coming through the portal, and you see some kind of outlines of different characters. One looks like maybe Craven, another looks like the six-armed Spider-Man. There's a couple of other ones in there. I think one kind of looked like the Scorpion. Yeah. But yeah, and uh, so one of the things that I like is all the different suits that he has. I think that's pretty cool. He's still rocking with the iron suit, but then he also has his homemade throwback, the black suit that looks pretty cool. Which eventually I want to see where like Spider-Man gets infected with the symbiote and then gets a black suit that way. Which we saw the kind of that in Spider-Man 3. I mean, we definitely saw it, and I don't know if it works so well with Tobey Maguire going around dancing and all that stuff. But I think Spider-Man 3 gets a bad rap. There's a lot of cool stuff in that movie, but there's a few weird things like why did you use what's his name from Topher Grace from that 70s show as Eddie Brock? Like that was a weird choice, but and then you literally the end of the movie you have him in a suit that looks like something from the OG comic books. It's almost kind of similar, I want to say, to this one here. That's suit right there. So, I mean, that's the best like look that I have at it. Sorry if it's hard to see that right there, but and yeah, and yeah, that's basically most of my pros though. There's a couple of things that I'll kind of wrap up with, because I got to talk about the ending, how this movie ends, and I love how this movie ends because at the end he has Doctor Strange do his little like his hand moving spells and all that stuff, and he has him make everyone forget that he is Spider-Man, and so everybody forgets him. They forget who he is. Like nobody remembers him. Nobody knows, and so you see him go into the cafe where MJ works, and you see MJ in there. I think you see Ned walk in, and like they're friends, but they don't know him, and so now it's up to him to kind of build his new life. And I think in the next movie, like we're finally going to get the miserable Spider-Man. Spider-Man needs to be miserable. He needs to be struggling to pay rent, living on his own, like having relationship issues, like struggling to fight crime and to balance that life. But then nobody knows that he's Spider-Man, and he still saves MJ. He saves Ned, or like whatever it's going to be, and like watches over his family from afar, but he doesn't reveal his identity in order to keep everybody safe, to keep the people that he loves and he cares about safe. And like we need the miserable Spider-Man that's just like at his wit's end, and like Tom Holland can bring the emotion, he can bring it, and so like I really want to see that miserable Spider-Man that just like is just ready to lay down his life for his friends and for the people that he cares about, people in the city, like all of that stuff. So yeah, and we kind of got some of that within the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So I hope we get to see more of it here. Like I'm actually really excited for it. So I think it's going to be awesome. I'm like, yeah, Spider-Man 4, I guess, whatever they're going to call it. It's going to be something about home. Whatever they decide to do. You got Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. It's going to be Spider-Man Home Invasion or whatever. I don't know, but I think he's going to be back to just being the neighborhood Spider-Man. We'll probably see him in like another like Avengers movie or something, because I don't know what the contract is. I know he renewed it, and I know he has like one or two more times of doing being Spider-Man for Sony, and I think one or two more times doing it for Marvel. I don't know, like don't quote me on that. Like I just know that the contractually he's obligated to do it a couple more times. So we'll see what happens. I hope he gets to do it for a long time, because I think Tom Holland's great. Like he is really cool, and he's a great actor when he's given the right roles and the right things. He's not doing these like these other movies, Cherry or like whatever. I can't even remember all the other movies that he's done that weren't very good, even though some of them were literally directed by the Russo brothers, and they still weren't that great. But and then let's talk about the end credit scenes. You got a mid credit, and an end credit scene, and then also there's an extended version of Spider-Man: No Way Home, and you get a scene. I'll just talk about that one first at the end with I can't remember the girl that plays the uh, reporter for the school, and you just get like a montage of everything that happened, like a little feel good moment of her recapping everything that Spider-Man has been through up until this point, and then what the people in the school has been to. How they they were uh, once attacked by the Vulture, then they went overseas, and then Mysterio happened, and they almost died, and all that. So that's that. But then in the theatrical version, you get the mid-credit scene that has Tom Hardy and as Eddie Brock, and you can hear him kind of talking back and forth with the Venom, and getting a little history lesson about the MCU. So you get him in a bar, just finding out all these things about the Hulk and Iron Man and Captain America, and all the history of the Avengers, and then yeah, I think they even mentioned Thanos, like getting all the stones and all that. And so yeah, that just tells me that Tom Hardy's going to be a bigger part of the MCU, and I think that's awesome. I'm not a huge fan of the Venom movies. I think they're a little cheesy. Like I don't like the voice of uh, Venom himself, the symbiote suit, but I really like the Eddie Brock character. Like he's cool, but like I don't know, like rolling like a turd in the wind or whatever those stupid lines are. But it's so stupid. But like whatever. Like maybe they'll slowly improve on the character. Like who knows? But I do love me some Tom Hardy, and like I'll watch anything he's in. So, yeah. And then for the theatrical ending credit scene, we actually got a teaser trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which was a bit of a letdown for me. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. Kind of like I don't know, like 6 out of 10 territory for me. But so we got that. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it though for this review though. Uh, yeah, this movie's great. Like every time I watch this movie, it just gets better and better and better. Like just one of those movies that like holds up really really well, and I think it's gonna hold up for a long time. And I can't wait to see where they go with this series. So yeah, because I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. Of course, I had to rock my shirt with the Spider-Man from Japan from the '70s, the TV series. So because I got to celebrate all iterations of it. Like I'm even excited they got some new DLC for uh, the Spider-Man Miles Morales game, so we can play as like multiple different Spider-Man characters. So that's cool. So I'll probably be doing that, and maybe even live streaming some of it. We'll see, but because that's the only way that I justify playing video games is I got to live stream it, or I don't play really, or if I play with some friends and family once in a blue moon. But anyways, that's gonna do it. And always, I have to end all my reviews is I like to give these movies a score out of 10. That's just how I do it. So for Spider-Man No Way Home, this movie's good. This movie's freaking awesome. Like I saved 10 for like the like top of the top best movies of all time. So I'm gonna say 9.5 for me because I'm such a massive Spider-Man fan that like this movie is one of the best in the MCU. The MCU's been kind of not so great lately. So but Guardians brought it back. I feel like Guardians was solid, and I even will defend Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Um, but yeah, this movie's 9.5 out of 10. So, and I think it kind of got people back to the movies like at the time it came out. So, but but anyways, I'm sure most people have seen this movie. Spider-Man's like the most popular superhero that exists, basically. So, I mean, that and Batman are like, if you're talking about overall superheroes. So, but yeah, that'll do it for me. So, I've been Jordan, the movie hero Anderson, and we will see you next time.